For almost all of human existence, the world looked simple. Tiny groups of 50 or fewer. No kings, no walls, no writing. Just small families following animals, seasons, and instincts for hundreds of thousands of years. And then something impossible happened. Almost overnight, humanity went from wandering bands to cities, real cities, with thousands of people, massive buildings, organized religion, governments, taxes, writing, trade, laws, planning, power. A transformation so sudden, so dramatic, that archaeologists still struggle to understand it. How did we go from nomads to Uruk, Harappa, Memphis, Caral, and other ancient urban giants? What changed? Why did it happen when it did? And why in multiple places at the same time? This is the story of the first cities on Earth and how civilization actually began. Section 1. The World Before Cities. Before the first cities, human life moved with nature. People lived in small mobile groups with no permanent leaders, no massive structures, no long-term settlements. Everything was about survival, not growth. And here's the thing, this system worked flawlessly for 95% of human history. So again, why change something that already worked? The real answer begins in the sky, with the end of the Ice Age. Section 2. The Great Environmental Shift. Around 11,700 years ago, Earth entered a warm, stable climate phase called the Holocene. Suddenly, rains became predictable, seasons stabilized, rivers settled into steady courses, plants grew reliably. This stability didn't just make life easier, it changed the entire human story. Because now, you could plant a seed and actually trust the environment enough to return months later and harvest it. Agriculture wasn't just an invention, it was a solution to a stable world. With farming came permanent settlements, food storage, larger families, specialization, division of labor, property, leadership. A slow, steady build-up of complexity. Villages evolved into towns, towns evolved into proto-cities, and in a few places, into something far more powerful. Section 3. The first experiments from villages to urban life. Early farming villages appeared across the Fertile Crescent, South Asia, China, and the Andes. These weren't cities yet, but they had the seeds of urban life. Clusters of permanent homes, pottery, communal storage, early trade. The first hints of social structure. These villages were humanity learning how to live together at scale. But the real leap, the moment village turned to city, required something more. Surplus. Once a community produced more food than it consumed, people were free to craft tools, build temples, become traders, manage resources, lead others. This is where complex society starts. And from this point, in several places around the world, without any connection between them, the first true cities emerged. Section 4. Mesopotamia. The birth of Uruk. If we're talking about the first massive, fully developed city, the answer is almost always the same: Uruk. Located in what is now southern Iraq, Uruk became the world's first major city around 4000 BCE. At its peak, it may have housed 40,000 to 50,000 people, a population size the world wouldn't see again in many regions for millennia. What made Uruk a city wasn't just its size, it was its systems. 1. Monumental architecture. Massive temples built from sun-dried bricks. The famous Iana district, dedicated to Inanna, one of the earliest monumental religious complexes. 2. Writing proto-cuneiform. This is where writing begins, not for poetry, for accounting, clay tablets recording, taxes, livestock, grain labor. This is bureaucracy being born. 3. Specialized labor. Craftsmen, architects, priests, administrators, merchants. entire classes of people who never touched farms. 4. Long-distance trade caravans from the Iranian plateau. Ships from the Persian Gulf. Stone, wood, metal, all imported. 5. Hierarchy temples controlled land and labor. Later, kings emerged. Authority became centralized. Uruk was humanity's first blueprint of urban life. But while Mesopotamia built cities through hierarchy and temple power, another region built them through engineering, planning, and a unique form of social organization. Section 5. The Indus Valley, the world's most advanced ancient cities. Now we come to a civilization so advanced, so cleanly designed, so perfectly organized, that even today it feels modern. The Harappan civilization, also known as the Indus Valley Civilization, and yes, it was one of the first true city-building cultures on Earth, as old as early Mesopotamian cities, and in many ways, far more sophisticated. 1. The roots, Mergar, 7000 BCE. One of the earliest farming communities in South Asia. It's the seed from which Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro later grew. 2. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, 2600 to 1900 BCE. These cities were massive, tens of thousands of residents. But what makes them extraordinary is their design. Perfect urban planning. They weren't chaotic. They were engineered. Streets followed exact grids. Blocks were uniform. Neighborhoods were organized with incredible precision. Advanced drainage systems. This is where the Indus Valley blows everyone else away. Every house, rich or poor, had a bathroom, a connection to a drainage system, runoff directed into covered channels, wastewater carried outside the city. No ancient civilization had sanitation on this scale. Standardized weights and measures. Across hundreds of settlements, systems were uniform, proof of advanced governance. Huge public granaries, centralized storage, the backbone of a managed economy. A peaceful civilization? Here's the surprising part. No palaces, massive temples, evidence of kings, or signs of large-scale warfare. This was urban life built on cooperation, not authoritarianism. The mystery of the Indus script. Their writing remains undeciphered. Short symbols on seals, pottery, tools, silent and unreadable. One of the greatest archaeological mysteries on Earth. Trade networks. They traded with Mesopotamia, Oman, Iran, Afghanistan. Harappan seals have been found in Sumerian cities. Proof of early global trade. The Indus Valley didn't just build cities, they mastered them. A calm, orderly, technologically brilliant civilization that collapsed for reasons still debated: climate change, river shifts, drought, or economic breakdown. Their cities remain some of the most remarkable human achievements ever built. Section 6. Egypt, China and the Andes, other cradles of urban life. While Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley were thriving, other early cities rose in. Egypt cities along the Nile grew under a unified kingdom. Massive structures, irrigation, writing, centralized authority. China early settlements along the Yellow River developed agriculture, pottery, fortified towns, evolving into dynasties. The Andes, Caral, the oldest city in the Americas. Pyramids, plazas, music, a peaceful urban center without warfare. Cities appeared independently, multiple inventions of civilization. That's the most important point. Urban life wasn't taught. It emerged naturally wherever conditions allowed. Section 7. Why cities matter. Cities changed everything. They created writing, governance, organized religion, mathematics, large-scale trade, engineering, social classes, armies, collective identity, science, philosophy, state power. Cities concentrated talent, knowledge, and ambition. They turned human potential into human progress. Every modern nation Every law, every government, every economy is built on the systems invented in these first cities. We're not just living in cities, we're living in the legacy of Uruk, Harappa, Memphis, Caral, Eridu, Chengxia, and dozens more. So how did civilization start? Not with a king, not with conquest, not with a great idea. It started with stability, with food, with communities learning to live together, with planning, cooperation, and ambition. The first cities on Earth weren't just places to live, they were experiments in what humans could become. And today, when you walk through any city, London, Delhi, New York, Shanghai, Lagos, you're seeing the same blueprint first drawn over 5,000 years ago. Civilization didn't begin with empires, it began with cities. And the story of cities is the story of us.